Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
I'm annoyed. I'm absolutely annoyed. Because here's the thing. I knew I was going to record a podcast today. I knew I was going to speak on the microphone and spill out my feelings about this Sixers team. And while I knew that, I understood it was going to be miserable. It was going to be painful. It was going to bother me. I was going to get frustrated. I would be annoyed because what this team is doing right now is unacceptable. It's garbage. And someone needs to be held accountable. This stretch is so bad. I am at the point where I am calling for people's jobs. This is the type of ugly basketball where someone actually needs to be fired. It's that bad. The Sixers are spiraling down to that level, to the point where people need to be fired. And that's terrible. Terrible to say. I would have never imagined in a million years it would get to this degree. But it's bad. It's ugly. It's awful. For Ben Simmons to be in the locker room after scoring 16 points and being minus 31. Think about that. He scores 16 points, he's still minus 31. For him to say the team is soft, originally when I instantly saw it, I thought, oh, okay, all right. He's being loud, he's being a vocal leader. But then I realized, who the hell are you? Who the hell are you to call the rest of the team soft? You are a guy who can be a superstar in this league if you decided to shoot a basketball. I was in the driveway the other day just shooting hoops, getting a good workout in. I like shooting hoops for a good workout. I wear a hoodie, I wear sweats, and I start sweating my ass off. How about this? He doesn't shoot a basketball. And during that time, I'm knocking down jumpers. I'm doing some Kobe fadeaways. I'm not going to lie, there were probably some misses and a couple air balls in there as well. But my point is, I'm shooting the basketball. For him to call the rest of the team soft when he's not playing defense and when he's not fixing the biggest issue in his game, shut up. Shut your mouth. And this is coming from a Ben Simmons fan. But you're not entitled to do that when you're not working on the biggest flaw in your game, when you're getting mocked by everyone around the league and you're still not changing. It almost tells me that, does he notice? Does he not comprehend that he needs to shoot a basketball eventually? And Joel Embiid after the game, he's pissed off about only getting 4 touches in the second half. So we have 2 players right now, our 2 go-to guys, bitching, complaining to the media after allowing 137 points, after not competing. Who are they? Right? This is horrible. I'm just being flat out honest. This is horrible. And for everyone who wanted Brett Brown fired 2 years ago, and for everyone who was unhappy with the way this roster is constructed, no matter how disappointed you were with those 2 pieces to this team, no one could have ever imagined it would get to this level of hideous. This is so concerning, it's unbelievable. So what I decided to do was I opened up a hotline. The Anytime Hotline. That's right, it's 24/7. You can call at any point and leave a message that will be implemented into my show. The Sixers end. 2 minutes afterwards, you gather your thoughts. Boom, call in the hotline. The phone number is 856-442-9805. That is 856-442-9805. And what this will do is it will allow you to get out your frustrations or get out your joy if you are happy after that particular game. And it's not just the Sixers. It could be the Flyers. It could be Eagles news. It could be Phillies news. It could be anything sports related. It's always there. So I tweeted out earlier this morning the phone number and I said, listen, let it happen. Tell everyone how pissed off you are. Share it with me. And I'll sit back. I will comment on your thoughts. But the floor is yours. And let's start it off with DJ Eastwood from the Run It Back podcast.
Bros, it's DJ Eastwood from the Run It Back podcast. We have been duped. We have been tricked into believing that we could win in the NBA with a bunch of 6'12" power forwards on the floor. Elton Brand constructed this team to be able to defend the Bucks and only the Bucks. The only problem is we didn't realize we wouldn't be able to defend anybody else. We forgot that the NBA is full of quick, ball-handling, shooting guards, and you cannot defend them with 4 power forwards on the floor. Also, you cannot score points on offense with 4 power forwards on the floor. We have been tricked. Something has to change. Hashtag fire Brett Brown.
Thank you so much for the call. I'll say this, something does need to change. I'm at that point where this is clearly not working. The message seems to have ran dry. The players are not responding properly to the head coach, and it's pretty clear over just the last 3 games. That is just unacceptable. That should never happen with the type of talent on this roster. It's flat out embarrassing. You mentioned the 4 power forwards, the 3 power forwards that are on this starting rotation, and I still think Ben Simmons is a point guard. That is where we are different, and when it comes to not being able to score, you mentioned firing Brett Brown. I'm not giving up on this roster. I do think they need to add pieces. Like, this is not a complete roster that can go win a title. But when it comes to Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and even Al Horford, yes, Al Horford and Josh Richardson, I'm not giving up on those players until I see a new coach in here, because a new coach coming in here can change the way this offense runs. When you see 3 players posting up in the same possession, what the hell is that? When you see Al Horford popping 7, 8, 9 3-pointers a game, what the hell is that? I don't see these players being utilized the right way. They are not playing to their strengths, and they are talented individuals. They're just not playing properly as a team. And I actually heard Legs from ESPN talking about this. He can't even watch the Sixers because he looks at that offense and looks at the way they play, and he is so mind blown on how awful it is. It bothers him to even see it with his own eyes, so he tunes them out. Like, there is something wrong with this offense and the way it is structured that I think people are really frustrated with the way it looks offensively, but those same people really want Brett Brown fired because they claim he sucks. So my point is, if a new coach is in here and he implements a different style of play offensively, maybe it can be a factor. There's no reason for Al Horford to be jacking up threes. Maybe we get more out of certain players. Maybe there's different looks so we can utilize these players in their strengths. I'm not willing to give up on this whole thing just based off of it being ugly right now. I need to see it being ugly with another coach before I start really moving along. But I will say, if a trade is possible for Al Horford, sure, absolutely. I'm not saying this is a perfect match. I'm not saying this is the perfect fit, but I am saying that who knows what a different view can do for this team. If there's a coach out there that says, oh, I can get way more out of this team. I don't know what the hell Brett is doing, and that guy comes in here and gets more out of this team, and even just the new message thing, too. The new message, being a new leader in the mix, there's a different type of respect that these players need to get out of their new head coach. It can spark something totally different. That's where I'm at right now when it comes to this team. But thank you, DJ Eastwood, for the call. Let's go to our next call, Eddie.
Hey, bros. My name's Eddie. I go to Stockton University. And I just want to say, first of all, love the podcast. Love your YouTube channel. Big
Thank you,
fan.
Eddie.
Now, I was one of the guys last year where, when the Sixers were struggling in the playoffs with, the Nets, and, later on the Raptors, I said, it's not Brett Brown's fault. We got chemistry issues, especially when you take so many guys that are brand new to the team and have so many different play styles and put them together. Obviously that's a struggle, but, I got to tell you, bros, this year, this is pissing me off because if I do remember correctly, almost everybody had us in the finals, or at least Eastern Conference Finals, and now it's like we're gonna get killed first round by like the Miami Heat. So I don't know. And then it's like.
I'll stop it right there real quick. You mentioned losing in the first round to the Heat. I always thought there was no way that this team would lose in the first round because even though it's been awful at times when it comes to the playoffs, they're going to have a different mentality and they're going to compete hard because the moment is bigger, and that's normally how it is when it comes to human nature and these pro athletes. When it comes to the playoffs, they're going to be dialed in and ready to rock and roll. The regular season to them is kind of But you know what? With them right now continuing to lose games and with the way it looks with the eye test and how they are almost somewhat solidifying that 6th seed, you're right. The Miami Heat can totally destroy this team in a playoff series. I had some optimism. I no longer have that optimism. I pulled a full 180 on this team. What I have seen, it's killing me inside. It really is. I've seen good teams play bad before, but this is to an absurd level of bad. It's past concerning. It really is. It's past the point of even being concerning. It's on a whole nother level. And I just don't know what you could possibly do to fix that right now.
I love the idea of getting Al Horford 4 months ago, and now I'd trade him for a box of cookies if I could right now. It really doesn't make any sense to me. I love Al Horford as a person. I hated him when he was on the Celtics because he would make some dumb shots that I didn't think were going to go in, and it just annoys me that he can't do that for us. So I guess my biggest frustration is A, with Brett Brown, and B, with Al Horford, and I guess C would be the bench, because even though I know you hate on Korkmaz, you got to admit, I mean, the man's been shooting well, but I feel like we need to utilize him better because, let's be honest, he is our best shooter. So.
All right. We'll attack this here. Thank you so much, Eddie, for the phone call. When it comes to Al Horford, and you mentioned at the time you liked it, and that's why I have defended Elton Brand. Hindsight is so different. At that time, we all loved it. We watched Joel Embiid go to the bench in the postseason, and then this team lost instantly when he would leave the floor. So Elton Brand in that moment went out and got someone who would kill the Sixers, a guy who is strong at that position and can fill that void and do it pretty damn well. So we thought, right? So it hasn't worked out as planned, and I totally understand why people are bothered with how Al Horford has been playing with this unit. I will say, when you talk to Boston Celtics fans and when you look at their beat reporters and stories about Al Horford when he was there, the fans were very frustrated with him during his time with the Celtics, but when it came to the postseason, he always showed up. So during the regular season, they were upset with him. Absolutely. He wasn't perfect. Here's the thing that I always love to mention when it comes to the Sixers. People don't watch other squads. You might, but it might just be a random Tuesday TNT type game or a random Thursday ESPN game or whatever the case may be. I'm just spitballing networks off the top of my head on random days. My point is this: you don't watch the full league and break down the Celtics 82 games like you do the Sixers. So that skews your mindset on certain players. But going back to when Elton Brand signed him, we all loved it at the time. It's not working out as planned, but you loved it at the time. And that's how you kind of have to look at moves that GMs make. Go back in time and think, okay, at that moment, what did we think? Did we question it? Were we upset about it? Or did it make logical sense? The GM made a move that made logical sense. It hasn't worked out, and that's a different discussion. But we have hindsight. We know now what it looks like. At the time, you don't have magical powers to see it. But listen, I totally understand why people will be really mad right now with Al Horford because he hasn't been producing at the level he needs to. But I also don't think his role with this team is what it needs to be. He's not a three-point shooting threat. He shouldn't be walking up to the line and shooting a three within 3 seconds of the shot clock. And that goes back to Brett Brown. So, Eddie, you named Brett Brown as your number one guy. You named Al Horford. And you named the bench. You mentioned Furkan Korkmaz. Listen, the bench is a problem. That's where this team needs an upgrade. But at this point, I don't think you're going to get anyone that's really going to change anything. The change that needs to happen is the head coach needs to go. And that is where I am at this point. Next up, Quinn.
Hey, bros, it's Quinn. I'm calling from Stratford, New Jersey. The Sixers are making me want to pull my hair out. Pull it out. You know what? I debated putting my Sixers sweatshirt on today, but, I kind of just threw it out. No, I didn't actually throw it out, but I'm just pissed. I'm pissed off. The team's playing with no motivation. It's ridiculous. Where was the hype? We had all this hype from the beginning of the season. Well, it's not there. Ben and Embiid, I think Embiid needs to pick it up. Ben definitely needs to pick it up. They also need to learn how to play together. Because if they don't learn how to play together, nothing's going to work. So that's what I'm thinking about.
All right, well, listen, you mentioned Joel and Ben playing together. I know that's a hot discussion because you've seen Ben Simmons thrive at the 4 or 5 position when Joel Embiid was out with the hand injury, the finger injury to be exact. And I do think that there's something to be said about how strong Ben does play at the 4 and 5 as the screener and the roller, but that doesn't mean he can't play point guard at all either because the best part of his game is passing. I guess you could argue defense, but definitely passing. I've seen them work together before. But right now, the chemistry as a whole, the frustration in the locker room, the way everyone's kind of feeling and the vibe in that locker room when they're in their stalls, it's just completely off right now. And they do need to pick it up. Ben needs to play really good basketball. And as a whole, it's not like Ben has been playing bad. But think about Joel Embiid. Last year, he was crying after they lost Game 7, and we all thought he would be motivated to come out and play hard this year. He's looked pathetic. Has Joel Embiid stood out to you as a good player in this league right now? As a great player in this league? As an all-star? As a starting all-star? Joel Embiid has been pathetic this season. I guess when you talk about those two playing together, yeah, they need to figure that out, definitely. I think it's very more possible than what everybody else thinks, or at least the loud minority thinks. Joel Embiid needs to step up, though. I mean, it's been horrible body language, which is a big problem considering Al Horford mentioned that Joel Embiid was the leader. Who's the leader on this team? Nobody knows. And that's what is terrible. Mike, what do you got for me?
Bros, it's Mike Rotundo from Marlton, New Jersey. Listen, longtime Sixers fan, longtime fan of yours, but I'm not a big fan of this Sixers squad and this Sixers team. I think it's time for Brett Brown to go. Al Horford's not getting the job done. We could trade him, possibly trade Embiid as well to get some studs, because I think Ben Simmons is better without Embiid. People love to complain about Ben Simmons' jump shot and how he's not shooting. I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is since he doesn't shoot, the lane is clogged with Joe down there and Ben trying to drive down there, and Horford has to stay on the three-point line with Embiid sometimes, and they shoot way too many threes. And I really think it's all because of Ben Simmons. I think if we trade Joel Embiid for a couple of stud guards or forwards and you keep Simmons.
All right, listen, that's what he wants to do. He wants to trade Joel Embiid, keep Ben Simmons, and get some guys to shoot around him. And he also said Al Horford, right? He wants to get rid of Al Horford. And listen, it's just, I get it. I get that. I'll just leave it like that. I get it. I get why everyone wants to trade everybody at this point. They want to get rid of the head coach. They want to get rid of Elton Brand. They want to do this and do that. That's what happens when the performance is the way that it is right now. I'm not even going to try and defend any points. I'm not going to try and argue any points to an insane degree. I might disagree here and there, as I have throughout some of the comments so far, but you are entitled to your frustration and you are entitled to your opinion, because right now with this team, they are brutal. Brutal. And this is what they get for being so brutal. They get a fan base that has pitchforks, that are on fire, that are screaming for people's heads. And deservingly so. So let's hit up Dave, who talks about bully ball.
What's up, bros? This is Dave from Delaware. Ben Simmons wants to call his team soft and he ain't shot the ball all year? Is he serious? I mean, really? But anyway, I don't know, man. To be honest with you, I enjoy, watching them lose at this point. They're a bunch of dorks, a bunch of nerds. They told us bully ball. They're the biggest bunch of geeks on the court. Are they serious? Talk to you later. Love the show.
That's funny. Dave, listen, I needed that. I need humor. I want to hear about how this team is filled with geeks. I need that. I need it. That's the way to help you through these moments. Laugh. We're hurting. There's no denying it. Emotionally, this is hard. But you need things to help laugh it off. Or you just laugh during the game, even though that's not really making you laugh from enjoyment. It's because you're suffering. But sometimes that's the best coping mechanism. That's how I feel, at least. Devin, want to talk Brett Brown?
What's up, Rhodes? This is Devin calling from Harrisburg, PA. And this team's pissing me off. We need to do something, and we need to do it before the trade deadline. The two guys I'm going after are Bogdanovich from the Kings and, of course, Redick. Because the defense is going to speak for itself in the playoffs. That's not what I'm worried about. I think we're going to play a lot more consistently and with a lot more intensity in the playoffs, and that's not going to be the issue. We need to get offense, and those are the two guys I'm going after. And with Brett Brown, I'm like you. I don't necessarily love him, but I'm not quick to get rid of him or anything. Even last year in the playoffs, I was leaning more towards loving him. But looking back, I think it was more so just individual players carrying him with, playing at their highest potential, rather than him, dialing up a smooth flowing offense, which you see, the Bucks or the Nuggets or even the Raptors still. So I'm going to let the playoff appearance this year determine how I feel about him. First round exit, and he's gone, no question. Thanks for taking the call, man.
Oh, no doubt. First round exit. He is gone. That's a lock. The money line on that. Minus 10,000. That's a lock. You mentioned going out and getting a Bogdanovich or whatnot, and I guess I just don't feel energized about the trade deadline because I don't think there's going to be a move that will help this team really figure this thing out right now. That's just how I feel. It could be a lost season. I hate to have that mentality, but I don't know what's going to change. Even if they beat the Milwaukee Bucks on Thursday, is that really going to change my mind on what this team really is? Absolutely not. Now, you're in a tough position if you're Elton Brand. Do you give up assets? Let's be real. Is Zahir Smith worth anything? Is Mike Scott worth anything? James Ennis? Furkan Korkmaz? Raul Neto? Nope. Al Horford's contract? Probably not. Tobias? Nope. They probably won't want to move on from him anyway. He's a 20-point-per-game scorer. Josh Richardson, maybe. There you go. You might have some trade value in Josh Richardson. But is it time to do that? Is now the right time to move on from him? Or do you wait until another coach gets an opportunity? We got more on Ben Simmons.
Hey, bros. This is Ledge here. I'm a Sixers fan, of course. I'm just calling to discuss what's actually going on with this team. And I just wanted to bring up a single point that the fact that Ben Simmons doesn't shoot forces everyone else to be spot-up shooters, and that's not everyone else's game. So you're taking every other piece of everybody else's game out of what they usually do because you won't shoot. So actually you're hurting the offense better than actually creating an offense. And I don't know why he doesn't get there by now in year 3. So I would be glad to talk about it if you're willing to talk about it.
Of course I'd be willing to talk about it. Ben Simmons and shooting? Absolutely. That's what drives Philadelphia Sports Talk Radio. That's what's been driving it for the last 3 or 4 seasons. So the thing I'd say about Ben Simmons and him not shooting the basketball, I know that it messes up spacing, and it will definitely in half-court sets and the postseason. I talk about it all the time. Regular season basketball is not the same as postseason ball. So with Ben Simmons being this high flyer, head down to the basket, fast-paced guy who is really solid at running the floor, well, that will change in the playoffs because it's possession by possession and it's different. I don't know if I necessarily agree that everyone else is now a spot-up shooter just because of Ben, because Tobias Harris is a three-point threat at times, but he also does dribble drive. He also does use that mid-range game. He also has a floater. Sometimes he's even carrying the ball up. Josh Richardson, sometimes he's doing a pick and roll and he's primary ball handler. Like, don't get me wrong, these players are shooting three-pointers as well. But big picture, does Ben Simmons mess up spacing because of his inability to shoot? Not even inability, his unwillingness to shoot? Absolutely. I can't disagree with you when it comes to that. And one day we need to pray that he figures it out and decides he will shoot a ball. He won't care if he misses. He needs to know that it's hurting the basketball team. And that's why I get so bothered when he called the team soft. You're calling the team soft, bro? You're killing the squad because you're not shooting a jump shot from 10 feet out. Stop it. Just stop it. Here's one more Ben Simmons.
Hey, bros. My name's Bo Rankin. We talked on Instagram a few times. I'm a veteran from New Jersey, living down in South Florida, going to school. I just want to voice my opinion about how pissed I am about this whole Brett Brown situation. I'll tell you, it's the same thing going on with Doug Peterson. There's no holding anybody accountable in the locker room. No one is holding Ben to shooting at least 1-3 a game. But I'm not even worried about that. I'm more worried about him shooting maybe 3 or 4 actual jumpers a game, 2 or 3 jumpers a game. Not these old bullshit fake sky hooks. No one's holding a bean towel for jogging down the court, not posting up. And we need to rotate Horford out. Horford needs to be a rotational big man coming off the bench. You know, the numbers show we do not do good with all 3 big men in there. We need Ben and Embiid on the floor, Al rotating in. Well, yeah, hopefully you can put me on the podcast, bro.
I absolutely love it. I mentioned that was a call on Ben Simmons. It's a little bit of everyone. It was Brett Brown, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and Al Horford. And you're not wrong, my friend. You're not wrong. And I do wonder if when the postseason comes around, if they're even involved. Oh, stop. They're making the playoffs, bros. Don't do this. I wonder if Al Horford will see some time off the bench. I've said from the jump that Al Horford won't be appreciated until the postseason, and hopefully that still stands true. And reading some reports, and specifically this Athletic piece between Sixers beat and the Celtics beat, they combined one together. They were talking about how when it comes to playoff basketball and Al Horford, when the game slows down, he really does step up, and he really is a different type of player. So these last 2 that I have here are a couple minutes long, but they're good rants, and it's good conversation. So I'm going to let it ride. And when I say long, I'm talking like 2 minutes. It's not like 10 minutes. But on the longer side, as I stated, I would like to keep these around 30 to 45 seconds. But let's kick the first one off here.
Hey, I'm Tad from Hershey, Pennsylvania. And let me tell you, bros, I was with you. I was with you on the whole Brett Brown is not a bad coach thing. I was with you. I was not one of those people where I say after every single loss, fire Brett Brown, he's terrible, he's the worst coach ever, get rid of him after 4 wins and then 1 bad loss to a team we should have beat. Oh, fire him, he's horrible, get rid of him. I was not one of those people. But the final straw for me, was against that damn game against the Hawks. How do you get whooped by Trae Young and old man Vince Carter? Now, I'm not, the blame isn't entirely on Brett Brown. With Brett Brown, he has no idea how the hell to utilize, especially Al Horford, but even the rest of the players. He's not holding them accountable. Ben Simmons isn't doing jack, especially when they're losing. Well, that's not entirely true. Ben Simmons can defend, but he's not. That game last night against the Heat didn't do jack. They dropped 137 points on us. And, I'm kind of going off on a tangent here. Now, Ben Simmons isn't entirely to blame. Brett Brown is entirely to blame. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are all-star players. They're elite players, but they're not doing jack. I don't care about Joel Embiid's double-double last night. He's an all-star player. He's an all-star starter. He's not doing jack. He's not putting in any effort. He's playing horrendously, especially on the road, but I guess that goes for the whole Sixers team. And with Ben Simmons, especially when they're losing, he just gives up. He does nothing. offensively too. What do you have last night? 16 points? And this is coming from Ben Simmons? Ben Simmons. That is unacceptable. And with Al Horford, first of all, I know you've said it, and it's true. But, Brett Brown has no idea how to utilize him. He's not using him correctly at all. And clearly, Mike McMillan even said it, Al Horford has no interest on being in the team. He doesn't give a damn if he's on the Sixers or not. It doesn't matter to him. It should say something when guys like Mike Scott of all damn people, are playing better than Ben Simmons offensively, at least, last night. And if a trade is what we need, so be it.
I don't know how I feel about the trade conversation. I know when you're in this spot, you do make a trade. You are a buyer at the deadline. And like I stated, it's not as if the Sixers have that much to give up. By the way, I love what you said, pretty much everything. The only couple things I don't know about is, one, like I stated, the trade thing. Yeah, they're going to make a trade, but if they get a Derrick Rose, is that the difference of this team really doing anything? No, it's not. And that's why I feel as if it's not going to do much. But who knows? Elton Brand does have balls. He has been aggressive, so maybe he throws in something that nobody would have expected. And the second thing I don't necessarily agree with, which I think you said, Mike Missinelli said it, is that Al Horford doesn't care if he's on the Sixers. He doesn't care about being here. I feel like that's a very emotional thing to say. That's just being frustrated in the moment. He doesn't want to be here. Well, what do you mean? How do we know this? What are we basing this off of? You know what I'm saying? So, lastly, we will finish with a solid couple-minute rant, and I will give my thoughts on it after to sum up the pod.
Hey, my name is Tahir Jennings. I'm calling from Philadelphia, PA. Yeah, I'm inquiring about the Sixers, man. I'm super frustrated watching this on TV. We were promised a defensive juggernaut and a team of 6'6" or better, and everybody is playing like they 5'9". Like, I never seen a defense so scared to play defense. Like, yeah, and I want to touch down on Ben Simmons also. The whole thing with him not shooting is becoming a whole issue because you don't see any progression in his individual game, individual play at all. It's layups, dunks, steals, layup, dunk, steals. Okay, we know you can do all these things great. We know it already. You're displaying it. That is what you're supposed to do. You're in the NBA. You're supposed to be able to steal the ball. You're supposed to be able to play defense. You're supposed to be able to lay the ball up. You're supposed to be able to dunk at 6'10". What we need you to do is to be able to shoot the ball. That is a skill. That's a skill that you are supposed to work on.
I'm going to stop it right there. He mentioned that you're supposed to be able to defend. I'll counter by saying this. People who are 6'10" are not versatile enough to guard a point guard at 6'3" and also a center at 7'1". His versatility defensively is so smooth. And with the NBA, yeah, you're supposed to defend, but Ben Simmons is at the top of the league when he wants to. It wasn't that way in Miami. It wasn't that way against the Boston Celtics, but he is capable of defending at a very high level, which is very important in this league. And I do understand the frustration when it comes to him shooting. I'll also mention this, though. He did get better. You have seen it. You just have not seen it in the game. And that's the big part of it, no doubt. But you can tell he has been working on it. It comes down to the mental side and being able to really do it in between the baselines when it matters.
All throughout high school, middle school, elementary school, that's the first thing you know how to do. You can't dunk in high school. Some people can dunk in high school. A lot of people can dunk in high school. What I mean is we all don't windmill, and everybody is not gifted with the dunking ability in high school. Everybody needs to learn how to shoot. So it's just getting to me that they're not surrounding him with the right talent also, but it's more frustrating that he won't even attempt the shot to make the offense move to the next level. You got an offense that they built an offense that just doesn't sit around their two best players. Okay, we have a guy who eats up the middle, and we have a guy who can pass the ball better than most people in the NBA, and you don't surround them with all shooters. It doesn't even matter if they are spot-up shooters. Get three shooters. You don't need nobody who can cut. Get a defensive, a 3-and-D, 3-and-D, 3-and-D. That's it. You just get turnovers and shoot threes and eat the middle up. If Ben's not going to shoot, surround him with all shooters. You let J.J. Redick go. You let Jimmy Butler go. You let all these shooters go and replace them with the same type of people that Ben Simmons and Embiid is, but older. I just don't get it. I don't like it. I hope that we can get it together. If Ben Simmons refused to shoot, I think it's time that we start talking some trades. I think it's time that we start talking about building a team around Joel Embiid. I don't want to see a team built around Ben Simmons for the simple fact he will not shoot the ball, which means we'll trade off Embiid, who might go help a team win a championship, and be stuck with a player who won't shoot the ball, who's going to give us 16, 8, and 8 every single year, first round, second round of the playoffs, and we get knocked out. I don't want to turn into the new age OKC. But yeah, man, that's all I have to say at this point, man. Hopefully I get to make the podcast. Hopefully you guys get to get my word out to everybody else, because this is crazy, you know?
Thank you so much for the call. I get it. I'll leave it at that. I totally get it. Now, I personally would rather build around Ben than Joel if I had to trade one, but I am not trading either of them right now. You have the right to be so disturbed inside. And you should be. And you should hold this franchise accountable. And you should hold this team accountable. So you should not take your foot off the gas pedal when it comes to criticizing and abusing this team. Because they are not even giving us effort. And when you suck the fans into this degree, you deserve it. You deserve every single piece of criticism that flies your way. So I hope you enjoyed what I did here today with the Anytime Hotline. Once again, the phone number is 856-442-9805. It's open 24/7. Try and keep the calls around 30 to 45 seconds, and I will implement these phone calls throughout my recap videos, throughout any video that I make or conversation that I make. So thank you so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, and I will see you next time.